Hi, Chris Arbutine here from downtown Largo in Pinellas County at our brick and mortar store where we buy, we sell, we appraise, we do it all. And we do many different things here. We do coins, gold, watches, diamonds, jewelry, but we do some other things. And people often ask me, well, is my clock worth anything? I have got this clock, it's been sitting on the mantle or it's up against the wall or hanging on the wall. Is it worth anything? And I have to tell you, clocks are timeless, but they're becoming a thing of the past. With cell phones out there, and I mean, think about it. Your microwave has a clock on it, your TV has a clock, your cable box has a clock. So the idea of buying something that tells time specifically just doesn't fit anymore. So if you do have a clock, it's going to have to fit into some kind of parameters. I didn't fancy myself as a clock buyer even, but every once in a while I would buy a clock here and there, a porcelain clock, maybe a bronze clock, a wood clock, mantle clock, a wall clock, a ship's clock. And next thing I know, I looked over one day and I looked at my shelves and I thought, oh my goodness, what do I got over there? I have like 20 different clocks over there. I've become a clock collector by accident. So what that means is, as I was buying these clocks, people just weren't coming in and buying them. So I called up a clock guy and I said, hey, come on in. Do you want to buy any of these? He looked at me, came in, he looked, he says, Chris, listen, I've got so many clocks, so much work all ready to do. I'm not going to buy any of these clocks. If you want to sell me every one of these clocks, I'll pay you $25 a clock. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd pay $25 to $100 for these clocks. So what that means is, unless you have something pretty spectacular, your clock is not worth very much. It's worth $10 or $15. And your clock maker, if you even still have one in the area, I do have a clock maker, they're going to want to pay 20 bucks for parts or 25 so that they can refurb it, throw it online, and hope that some kind of clock craze comes back. But let's talk about some of the clocks that might be worth something. If you have a clock that's made out of bronze, marble, a huge figure on it, something really interesting, something that looks high quality. There were clocks that actually had a clock, then they had a sconce on each side, and then another piece, 5-piece sets. Yes, those can be worth something. Again, we're here in March of 2019, but the most interesting clock that I've had recently, just as I described with bronze and figure rolls, I think I sold the whole thing for $750 and was glad to get out of it for that. So again, if you do have clocks, be careful. You're not going to get very much for them. If you do want to find out what a clock is worth, you can always email me, send pictures, send dimensions. There are some exceptions to the rule. If you have an old clock that has almost like an ottoman, like it does something, like as the clock strikes, something happens, like a figure comes out, blows a horn, comes back in, those clocks are worth $1,500 to several thousand or more. One last note, that does not include cuckoo clocks. Hey, my parents had a cuckoo clock the whole time, but the average cuckoo clock, if you're lucky, is selling between $25 and $50 right now. Very nice, very interesting. Anniversary clocks, that's another one I get. That's the one with the dome, and you can see all the movements, and then you see a little thing moving down below. Used to be called a wedding clock because they were wedding gifts. Again, not worth very much at all. So the clock market is definitely down. And again, any questions, let us know. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.